Florida. We operate under the authorities of Articles 11 and 12 of the Land Development Code as amended. The primary responsibility of the board is to hear and decide appeals, challenging final determinations made by the Planning and Development Services Department under the Land Development Code, and to hear and act upon requests for variances, special use permits, non-conforming use determinations, and preliminary development plans under the Land Development Code. Today we have a variance, so I will read that section. A variance is a relaxation of the requirements of the zoning code in a particular case where, because of unusual circumstances, a literal enforcement of our zoning code would result in undue or unnecessary hardship. The zoning code permits us to authorize variances only for height, size of structure, or size of yards and open spaces. If we grant a variance, we may impose reasonable conditions on the use of the property, which must be satisfied if the variance is to remain valid. The standards we use in determining whether or not to grant a variance are listed in Section 45-833 of the Land Development Code. Procedurally, we will call each case by name and number. A member of the staff will then briefly explain to us the nature of each request. We will then take any comments from the applicant or their representative, followed by any public comments concerning the request. Please direct all comments and statements to the board and not to other people in the audience. Before speaking, we will ask each person to be recognized, come forward to the lectern, and identify his or herself by name and address. After all persons wishing to speak have been heard, we will entertain a motion from the board. The motion will be voted on by board members and become our final order. Any decision made by this board can be appealed to the circuit court. However, any appeal must be filed within 30 days after the Board of Adjustment has rendered the final order which is being appealed. Are there any questions? Okay, before we hear the first case today, all those wishing to speak need to be sworn in. So will the deputy clerk please administer the oath? Or can Kristen do it now? Okay, before we hear from staff, let's do a ex parte communication and conflict of interest for variance 25-00007.
No.
Okay, your staff report.
Thank you, Madam Chair. For the record, Michael Graves, Planning and Development Services. This is 25-000007. The applicant is the North Shore Properties, LLC. The location is 117 LC Drive in East Palatka, Florida. On a property that is approximately 3.8 acres in size, zone commercial intensive, C4, with a future land use of commercial. The variance is to allow for a reduction in waterfront setback from 35 feet to 0 feet, a total of a 35-foot reduction for an over-the-water restaurant. The applicants are requesting the setback for reduction for the development over submerged lands. They have a submerged land lease from the Department of Environmental Protection for the purpose of developing an over-the-water restaurant. The applicant would be allowed by right currently to retain the existing structure and repair it up to 50% of the damage done to it as assessed immediately prior to the damage. Removal of the waterfront setback would allow for repair up to the restaurant by right. Here you can see an aerial of the property. Here's the zoning, the future land use, the FEMA flood zones, and the wetlands. There are 5 criteria, of course, when it comes to variance. Criteria number 1, special conditions and circumstances exist which are peculiar to the land, structure, or building involved. While there does not appear to be any special conditions or circumstances that are peculiar to the land in this case, there are circumstances peculiar to the structure in that it is an over-the-water development. design is unique in nature and utilizes innovative planning to create a one-of-a-kind experience in Putnam County that has the potential to be an asset to the community. Number 2 is the special conditions and circumstances described in paragraph A do not result as a failure of the applicant's part. There are no circumstances or conditions for the land. The applicants purchased this property after the building had already been developed and are attempting to maintain the existing development and follow all appropriate regulations for this unique development. Number 3 is granting of the variance requested will not confer the applicant any special privilege that is denied by this code. Staff debated on this request variance if it would constitute special privilege. It is implied by the setback restrictions that such developments are not allowed to occur. However, permission had already been granted by the Department of Environmental Protection, and denial by the county could raise the issue of equitable estoppel. A literal interpretation of the provisions of this ordinance would deprive the applicant of commonly enjoyed rights. While over-the-water restaurants are not a commonly enjoyed right in Putnam County, denial could prevent the reopening of the restaurant, however, which would potentially be depriving the applicant of a commonly enjoyed right in the commercial zoning districts. Granting the variance will be in harmony with the general intent and purpose of this ordinance and will not be injurious to the area. The general purpose and intent of the LDC for waterfront setbacks is to prevent pollution. The DEP has approved of this development, and Putnam County must consider the development's potential pollution to be de minimis or otherwise not seen as an issue by agencies that are more active in protecting our natural resources than Putnam County staff are able to. The variance granted is the minimum necessary to make reasonable use of the land. The granting of this variance would make possible the reasonable use of the submerged lands and existing building by allowing the applicant to utilize them to the maximum extent of their lease agreement. Staff finds that the requested variance meets the criteria for the required for issuance of a variance in accordance with LDC Section 45.833. Staff gives the recommendation for approval of the requested variance to reduce the waterfront setback for the over-the-water restaurant from 35 feet to 0 feet, a 35-foot reduction on the following conditions. Number one, obliteration of the restaurant and any extensions therein. The variance shall be terminated. Number 2, the variance shall be in effect for the currently existing restaurant building and any extensions attached therein. Any newly created freestanding structures on the remainder of the property shall retain the 35-foot setback from the mean high water line. And any new development of new structures or extension of the restaurant in excess of 250 square feet that is not outdoors in nature, such as seating, docks, etc., shall require review and approval by the Putnam County Development Review Committee to ensure compliance with all other LDC regulations. Any questions?
Any questions for staff? Okay, thank you. Before we proceed, let's do a site visit roll call, please.
Yes.
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 Okay, I think we have a speaker today. The applicant is North Flow Properties. Do we have a representative? Is this who you are? Would you like to come forward, please? For the record, please state your name and address.
Hello, my name is Will Sorensen, COO of North Flow Properties. Address is 117 Elsie Drive.
I'm sorry, where?
117 Elsie Drive,
What city?
East Palatka.
East Palatka. Oh, okay. All right.
I live on site for right now until
Can
this
you
project
pull the
is
mic
done.
up a little bit? Because it's not. Okay.
I got a little bit of a cold. No, I live on site currently until this project gets done.
Okay, would you like to share anything else other than what staff has shared with us?
No, I really don't have anything I need to say. I mean, y'all have said it all pretty much, and y'all have worked with me greatly throughout this process the last 2 years. So I'm just ready to get moving.
Oh, okay. All right. Thank you. Questions?
Amen. All right. Appreciate y'all's time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, there's no one in the audience from the standpoint of coming forward to speak in favor or in opposition, so I guess we'll close it to the public and open it up for board motion and discussion.
Madam Chair, I move we approve variance number VAR 25-000007 as it meets the criteria for a variance as required by Section 45-833 of the Putnam County Land Development Code, with conditions that were recommended by staff, and I authorize the chair to sign this on order.
We have a motion and a second to approve variance 25-000007. Any further discussion? If none, all of those in favor, please indicate by raising your right hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Motion carries 5-0. Just good luck, but there is also a 30-day appeal process. So if there's any issues, good luck in your endeavor and work with staff. Okay, the next thing on our agenda is, do we have any new old business? None? Any new business? Yeah. And then the approval of the minutes from May 21st, 2025. Before we approve them, there is a correction. Mr. Helms was not at that meeting on the 21st. So he is listed as being present. Correction? For the minutes, Mr. Helms. I said in the minutes it says Mr. Helms was present and he wasn't. Okay, so do we have a motion to approve the minutes? We have a motion and second to approve the minutes of the Zoning Board of Adjustment for Wednesday, May 21st, 2025. All in favor say aye. Motion carries 5-0. Anything else that we need to do today?
Madam Chair, motion to adjourn.
Okay.
Second.